history of the automobile. The evolution of the car dates all the way back to the 1600s. The absolute first self-fueled street vehicles were controlled by steam motors, and by that definition, Nicolas Joseph Cugnot of France fabricated the main auto in 1769, perceived by the British Royal Automobile Club and the Automobile Club de France just like the first. So for what reason do so numerous set of experiences books say that the car was designed by either Gottlieb Daimler or Karl Benz? It is on the grounds that both Daimler and Benz developed profoundly fruitful and reasonable fuel-controlled vehicles that introduced the period of current autos. Daimler and Benz imagined vehicles that looked and worked like the vehicles we use today. In any case, it is out of line to say that either man developed the car. Inside combustion engine, the heart of the automobile. An interior burning motor is a motor that utilizes the hazardous ignition of fuel to push a cylinder inside a chamber. The cylinder's development turns a driving rod that at that point turns the vehicle wheels through a chain or a drive shaft. The various sorts of fuel regularly utilized for vehicle ignition motors are gas, or petroleum, diesel, and lamp oil. A short layout of the historical backdrop of the inner burning motor incorporates the accompanying features. 1680 Dutch physicist, Christian Huygens planned, yet never fabricated, an inner burning motor that should have been energized with black powder. 1807 François Isaac de Rivers of Switzerland designed an inner ignition motor that utilized a combination of hydrogen and oxygen for fuel. Rivers planned a vehicle for his motor, the principal inward burning fueled auto. In any case, his was a fruitless plan. 1824 English specialist, Samuel Brown adjusted an old Newcomen steam motor to consume gas, and he utilized it to momentarily control a vehicle up Shooters Hill in London. 1858 Belgian conceived engineer, Jean-Joseph Etienne Lenoir imagined and protected, 1860, a twofold acting, electric flash start interior ignition motor filled by coal gas. In 1863, Lenoir appended an improved motor, utilizing petrol and a crude carburetor, to a three-wheeled cart that figured out how to finish a notable 50-mile excursion. 1862 Alphonse Beau de Rochus, a French structural architect, licensed however didn't fabricate a four-cycle motor, French patent number 52593, January 16, 1862. 1864 Austrian architect, Siegfried Marcus, assembled a one-chamber motor with a rough carburetor and connected his motor to a truck for a rough 500-foot drive. Quite a long while later, Marcus planned a vehicle that momentarily ran at 10 miles per hour, which a couple of antiquarians have considered as the harbinger of the advanced auto by being the world's first gas-fueled vehicle. Nonetheless, read clashing notes underneath. 1873 George Brayton, an American designer, fostered a fruitless two-stroke lamp oil motor. It utilized two outer siphoning chambers. Nonetheless, it was viewed as the main protected and functional oil motor. 1866 German architects, Eugen Langen, and Nikolaus August Otto enhanced Lenoir's and de Rochus plans and developed a more proficient gas motor. 1876 Nikolaus August Otto created and later protected an effective four-phase motor, known as the Otto cycle. 1876 The principal effective two-cycle motor was concocted by Sir Dugald Clark. 1883 French specialist, Édouard Delamere de Botteville, assembled a solitary chamber four-cycle motor that burned oven gasoline. It isn't sure in the event that he did without a doubt fabricate a vehicle. In any case, Delamere de Botteville's plans were extremely cutting edge for the time, in front of both Daimler and Benz somehow or another, at any rate on paper. 1885 Gottlieb Daimler created what is regularly perceived as the model of the cutting-edge gas motor, with an upward chamber, and with gas infused through a carburetor, protected in 1887. Daimler previously fabricated a two-wheeled vehicle, the Reitwagen, riding carriage, with this motor, and after a year assembled the world's initial four-wheeled engine vehicle. 1886 On January 29, Karl Benz got the main patent, DRP No. 37435, for a gas-filled vehicle. 1889 Daimler fabricated an improved four-cycle motor with mushroom-formed valves and two V-incline chambers. 1890 Wilhelm Maybach assembled the initial 4-chamber, 4-cycle motor. Motor plan and vehicle configuration were essential exercises. Practically the entirety of the motor fashioners referenced above likewise planned vehicles, and a couple proceeded to become significant makers of cars. These innovators and more made eminent upgrades in the advancement of the interior burning vehicles. The importance of Nikolaus Otto. Quite possibly the main milestones in motor plan comes from Nikolaus August Otto, who in 1876 concocted a successful gas engine motor. Otto fabricated the primary reasonable 4-stroke inward burning motor called the Otto cycle engine, and when he had finished his motor, he incorporated it into a bike. Otto's commitments were verifiably critical. It was his 4-cycle motor that was all around embraced for all fluid-powered vehicles going ahead. Karl Benz. In 1885, German mechanical specialist, Karl Benz planned and fabricated the world's first common-sense vehicle to be fueled by an interior ignition motor. On January 29, 1886, Benz got the primary patent, DRP No. 37435, for a gas-energized vehicle. It was a 3-wheeler. Benz fabricated his initial 4-wheeled vehicle in 1891. Benz & C. The organization began by the innovator, turned into the world's biggest maker of autos by 1900. Benz was the principal innovator to incorporate an inward burning motor with an undercarriage, planning both together. Gottlieb Daimler. In 1885, Gottlieb Daimler, along with his plan accomplice Wilhelm Maybach, took Otto's inward burning motor above and beyond and licensed what is by and large perceived as the model of the advanced gas motor. Daimler's association with Otto was an immediate one. Daimler filled in as specialized overseer of Deutz Gasmotor N Fabrik, which Nikolaus Otto co-claimed in 1872. There is some contention regarding who assembled the primary cruiser, Otto or Daimler. The 1885 Daimler Maybach motor was little, lightweight, quick, utilized a gas-infused carburetor, and had an upward chamber. The size, speed, and productivity of the motor considered an insurgency in vehicle plan. On March 8, 1886, Daimler took a stagecoach and adjusted it to hold his motor, subsequently planning the world's initial 4-wheeled car. Daimler is viewed as the principal designer to have concocted a down-to-earth inside-burning motor. In 1889, Daimler developed a V-skewed 2-chamber, 4-phase motor with mushroom-molded valves. Very much like Otto's 1876 motor, Daimler's new motor set the reason for all motors going ahead. Likewise in 1889, Daimler and Maybach developed their first auto starting from the earliest stage, didn't adjust another reason vehicle as they had consistently been done already. The new Daimler vehicle had a 4-speed transmission and acquired velocities of 10 miles per hour. Daimler established the Daimler Motorengesellschaft in 1890 to fabricate his plans. After 11 years, Wilhelm Maybach planned the Mercedes car. On the off chance that Siegfried Marcus constructed his second vehicle in 1875 and it was as asserted, it would have been the main vehicle controlled by a 4-cycle motor and the first to utilize gas as a fuel, the first having a carburetor for a gas motor and the first having a magneto start. In any case, the solitary existing proof demonstrates that the vehicle was assembled around 1888/89, past the point where it is possible to be first. By the mid-1900s, gas vehicles began to beat any remaining sorts of engine vehicles. The market was developing for prudent autos and the requirement for mechanical creation was squeezing. The main vehicle producers on the planet were French, Panhard and Levasseur, 1889, and Peugeot, 1891. Via vehicle maker we mean developers of whole engine vehicles available to be purchased and not simply motor creators who explored different avenues regarding vehicle configuration to test their motors. Daimler and Benz started as the last prior to turning out to be full vehicle makers and brought in their initial cash by permitting their licenses and offering their motors to vehicle makers. René Panhard and Emile Levasseur. René Panhard and Emile Levasseur were accomplices in a carpentry hardware business when they chose to become vehicle producers. They assembled their first vehicle in 1890 utilizing a Daimler motor. Edouard Sarrazin, who held the permit rights to the Daimler patent for France, appointed the group. Authorizing a patent implies that you pay an expense and afterward you reserve the option to construct and utilize somebody's creation for benefit. For this situation, Sarrazin reserved the privilege to assemble and sell Daimler motors in France. The accomplices fabricated vehicles, however they additionally made upgrades to the car body plan. Panhard Levasseur made vehicles with a pedalwork grasp, a chain transmission prompting a change-speed gearbox, and a front radiator. Levasseur was the principal architect to move the motor to the front of the vehicle and utilize a back tire drive design. This plan was known as the System A Panhard and immediately turned into the norm for all vehicles since it gave a superior equilibrium and improved directing. Panhard and Levasseur are additionally credited with the creation of the cutting-edge transmission, introduced in their 1895 Panhard. Panhard and Levasseur additionally shared the authorizing rights to Daimler engines with Armand Peugeot. A Peugeot vehicle proceeded to win the principal vehicle race held in France, which acquired Peugeot exposure and helped vehicle deals. Incidentally, the Paris to Marseille race of 1897 brought about a deadly car collision, slaughtering Émile Levasseur. Right off the bat, French makers didn't normalize vehicle models. Every vehicle was not the same as the other. The originally normalized vehicle was the 1894 Benz Velo. 134 indistinguishable Velos were produced in 1895. Charles and Frank Duriere. America's first gas-fueled business vehicle producers were Charles and Frank Duriere. The siblings were bike producers who got keen on gas motors and cars and assembled their first engine vehicle in 1893, in Springfield, Massachusetts. By 1896, the Duriere Motor Wagon Company had sold 13 models of the Duriere, a costly limousine, which stayed underway into the 1920s. Ransom Eli Olds. The main car to be mass-created in the United States was the 1901 curved dash Oldsmobile, worked by the American vehicle producer Ransom Eli Olds, 1864 to 1950. Olds concocted the fundamental idea of the sequential construction system and began the Detroit region car industry. He initially started making steam and fuel motors with his dad, Pliny Fisk Olds, in Lansing, Michigan in 1885. Olds planned his first steam-fueled vehicle in 1887. In 1899, with a developing encounter of fuel motors, Olds moved to Detroit to turn over the Olds Motor Works and produce low-valued vehicles. He delivered 425 bended dash Olds in 1901, and was America's driving automobile maker from 1901 to 1904. Henry Ford. American vehicle maker, Henry Ford, 1863 to 1947, concocted an improved mechanical production system and introduced the first transport line-based mechanical production system in quite a while vehicle industrial facility in Ford's Highland Park, Michigan plant, around 1913-14. The sequential construction system decreased creation costs for vehicles by diminishing gathering time. Portage's renowned Model T was collected quickly. Portage made his first vehicle, called the quadricycle, in June 1896. Be that as it may, achievement came after he shaped the Ford Motor Company in 1903. This was the third vehicle fabricating organization shaped to create the vehicles he planned. He presented the Model T in 1908 and it was a triumph. Subsequent to introducing the moving mechanical production systems in his processing plant in 1913, Ford turned into the world's greatest vehicle producer. By 1927, 15 million Model Ts had been produced. Another triumph won by Henry Ford was a patent fight with George B. Selden. Selden, who had never constructed a car, held a patent on a street motor. On that premise, Selden was paid eminences by all American vehicle producers. Passage toppled Selden's patent and opened the American vehicle market for the structure of reasonable vehicles. Thanks for watching. Bye now.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Life is Often if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.